Shavua Tov, a gute Woche, and a Chasime u Gemal Chasime Teve, Lonu u Lechol Yisrael. It's after Rosh Hashanah, Mitzvah Shabbos Kedesh of Shabbos Shuva or Teshuvah, and we are preparing for the great day of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is called several times in Chumash Achas Bashono, once a year. Yes, but Yom Kippur is once a year. But what is the meaning of the term Achas, one? Does it have a deeper, esoteric meaning than just the fact that Yom Kippur happens only once a year? We will return to that in a moment. But first, our customary story. The year was Tofshin Nun Beis, before Yom Kippur. My father-in-law, a Chosed of the Mesha'aden by the Bentzion Gaisinski, was not well. Unfortunately, he passed away that year on Dalet Teves, just a few weeks after Yom Kippur. But now it's before Yom Kippur, and he was a wonderful Jew who wanted to fast on Yom Kippur, although his condition was very, very, very frail. So he expressed his worries about fasting on Yom Kippur, which he very much wanted to do. And to long life to everyone, I said to him, Shmuel, Sunday before Yom Kippur, we're going to go to the Rebbe, and we're going to ask the Rebbe for a bracha. Came over to the Rebbe, and all I said is, the Shmuel sorgt sich wegen Fasten Yom Kippur. My father-in-law is worried about fasting Yom Kippur. And the Rebbe went with his hand like this, and he said, Ul hachayesam barov, Posuk in Tilim, and to keep them alive, barov in the hunger. I think he gave him an extra $1 for that. That was it. Yom Kippur, the Shver fasted. I called him after Yom Kippur. I asked him how was the fast. I was afraid, I didn't know what. He said, fast went wonderful. He wasn't hungry. He had the strength. He was able to fast a whole Yom Kippur. The Rebbe said 2 words. Ol hachayesom barov. They should live, or they should remain living, or living from barov, from the hunger. Why am I saying to live from the hunger? Because it says in Chassidus concerning this word, this posuk. What does ol hachayesom barov mean? What is the deep esoteric explanation of the words ol hachayesom barov? Because ol hachayesom barov in the literal verbatim translation means, and they should live in the hunger. What does that mean? So it says in Chassidus like this, in the Maimel, that what keeps the body and the soul together? Food, that we know. Food and drink. You cannot keep the body and the soul together without food. Rahman al-Islam, we saw it even lately, too many times with Corona and so on, that when there wasn't enough nourishment for the body, there was a separation of the body and soul. Not to talk about not happy things. So you need the food to keep the body and soul together. So the person lives on the food that he eats. Then it says in the Maimel, what happens on Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur, he doesn't need any food. Since he doesn't eat, so where does he take his sustenance from? The answer is, Ul hachayesom, and to keep them alive. What keeps the Jew alive on Yom Kippur? Bara, from the hunger. Since Almighty God said that on Yom Kippur you're not allowed to eat, that brings him sustenance. The saying of Almighty God that you have to fast on Yom Kippur, that brings the Jew sustenance. Ul hachayesom, how does the Jew live on a day when he is not allowed to eat? But through the hunger of Yom Kippur, that gives him sustenance to live. And that's what the Rebbe said. And as mentioned, my father-in-law, Zoma Lichtig in Gan Eden, said after Yom Kippur, He was able to fast nicely. He didn't feel the fast. He wasn't weak because of the fast. And he survived Yom Kippur very, very well. Rabbi say, concerning our question, what does Achas Bashono mean? Yes, you can say Achas Bashono means Yom Kippur is once a year. Yes, we know Yom Kippur is once a year. And somebody would even say, thank God, we fast on Yom Kippur once a year. But there is a deeper esoteric meaning to what Achas Bashono. Achas means that it reaches the Achas. What's the Achas of a Jew? It says it's volume of Kabbalah, and there's even a Tosfos that mentions it. That there are five parts to the Neshama. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chayo, Yechido. These are the five parts. Every part is a deeper part of the Neshama, from Nefesh to Yechido. Yechido is the Achas, the very essence of the soul. And there is a Loshen in Eitz Chaim, and it's brought down in Chassidus many times. Yesh nitzutz koton me'eit shubchinos elokus. There is a spark, there's a godly spark. V'zeh hanitzutz mislabesh bekeach nitzutz echod nivelo hanikro yechido. That this spark is enclosed in this one spark of the creation that is called yechido. V'nitzutz nivelo yechido hu dovel echod im nitzutz be'elei. So there is a nitzutz echod. There is one spark of godliness. That is the spark of Almighty God. And then there's another spark. That's the nitzutz be'elei, the nitzutz of the Creator. And then there's another spark, nitzutz nivro, the spark of the creation. And on Yom Kippur, those two sparks unite and meet. The nitzutz echod, the one spark that is Be'elei, the one spark that is God, creation, and the other spark is Nivelo, God, creator, and another spark that is Nivelo, creation, and those two sparks unite together and they become one. They become Yechido. And that is what it says in the Eitz Chaim. And it's interesting, the Rebbe brings a Tosfos in Menachos. Tosfos in Menachos daf Yud Ches Omed Aleph. Let's open up the Gemara and let's see it inside. The Tosfos in Menachos starts Dibur HaMaschil Ad Achas, and there it says Ad Achas Ad HaNefesh Nikraas Yechido. So Tosfos starts with the word Achas, and what does Achas mean? The part of the Nefesh that is called Yechido. So Tosfos says that these two things come together. Achas, and what is Achas in the Nefesh? Yechido. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chayo, Yechido, that is called Achas. Achas Bashono. The revelation of Achas, in the deeper meaning of the word Achas, which goes to Yechido. I once heard, I didn't see it in this volume of the Rebbe of Chassidus, but it's a Weltische Wort, that Esau very much wanted a bracha. And when Yankov Avinu told him, he gave the bracha to Esau, he argued. He says, a bracha achas lecho ovi. What he means to say is, the depth, Esau wanted that bracha achas. He wanted the achas of the bracha, the essence of the bracha, that which belongs to Yankov. And of course, Yitzchak did not give him. But Esau wanted that achas, the bracha achas, not just a bracha. He wanted the bracha achas. I heard this is a vault that was used by Darshonim, that he wanted the achas. And the achas Esau, Yankov did not, Yitzchak, did not give. Esau wanted the achas of the Jews. Zolavel, but he did not get it. Yitzchak gave that achas to Yankov. Achas Bashono. Once a year, that achas is lighting, is illuminating, is radiating in the soul of the Jew. To the extent that if a Jew comes to shul and he makes that connection of achas, then he's home. And as somebody once said, I remember the Biel talking about it, Ba'alichus Gedelo, the Biel style. He says, one can go to shul, and he can wear a gautel and a kittel and a talis and everything. But for whatever reason, he doesn't make that connection. He doesn't make that achas connection. Then we have a problem. And there can be a Jew, he says, who sits in the back of the shul. And he doesn't look like he's the biggest chassid in the world. He doesn't look like he's the biggest lamdan in the world. But he, in the back of the shul, in his little place, someplace, makes that connection. He makes that connection of achas. He unites the nitzus nivro with the nitzus beirei with the nitzus nivro. He made that connection. And that's what it's all about. It's all about, somebody once asked, tefillah. What does tefillah mean? Of course, tefillah means prayer. What does tefillah mean? It says in Chassidus that tefillah comes from the word hatoifel klicheres, a mishnah in Kelim. Hatoifel means klicheres, he unites a klicheres with something. Tefillah comes from the word toifel, unite. And there's a pasuk in Chumash. Leah said, Niftalti elikim. Naftuli elikim, niftalti emachesi. Niftalti means, I became united with my sister. Tefillah means, that in one word, that's what tefillah is all about. Many people will tell you, ganz in the drashos of ours, what's tefillah? Chassidus says it's one word. It's uniting. So when a Jew sits down or stands up and to daven hashachris or mincha, he is uniting with Almighty God. However, a whole year, the yechida of the Jew does not light, does not illuminate, it does not radiate. However, on Yom Kippur, the very essence, the yechida of the Jew lights. I heard a story, also from Rabbi Yale, I believe, that it was Mayim Shalonu in Lubavitch. And the Rebbe Nishma would leave his room and he would go to the river. There's a river with a bridge. He would go to the river for Mayim Shalonu. And there was a Tomim. His name was Shimshon Vitebsker. And the Rebbe Nishma said, and by Mayim Shalonu they would sing Nigunim. And he also went to Mayim Shalonu, Shimshon Vitebsker with everybody. And the Rebbe Nishma said that by Mayim Shalonu hat Bashimshon and Meir given Yechido Shebenefesh. Bashimshon Vitebsker, when he went out to get Mayim Shalonu, what was radiating in him was Yechido Shebenefesh, the very essence. Well, of course, you have to be the Rebbe Nishma to notice it. But this is not something that happens all the time. So generally, Yechido Shebenefesh is not Meir. Yechido Shebenefesh does not illuminate, it does not radiate. On Yom Kippur it does. And by Shimshon it radiated when he went for Mayim Shalonu. He felt the mitzvah that he's now going to do. He made a connection. He's now going to prepare to do the great mitzvah of eating matzah. So therefore, by Emot Geloichten Yechido Shebenefesh when he went for Mayim Shalonu. But that's a special case. On an individual level, on the Yom Kippur is Meir Yechido Shebenefesh. And this is why Achas Vashono, that Yom Kippur is so special. Will the Rebbe helfen? That when we go to shul on this Yom Kippur, we should make that connection from the very depth of our heart. And the connection, when it comes from our Yechidah, reaches the Yechidah of Almighty God. It reaches the Nitzutz Beirei. From the Nitzutz Nivro and it reaches the Nitzutz Beirei. From the spark of the creation, the creator, the created, it reaches the creator. And there, when those two sparks meet together, you find an absolutely wonderful, infinite unity that is difficult to describe because we don't have the words, because we don't really understand what it means. We can only understand it in abstract terms. But what you have there is a wonderful fusion and unity between the creation and the Creator, and this is what happens on Yom Kippur, Achas Bashono, once a year, and it reaches the very essence of the Jew, the Achas of each and every single Jew. So the Rebbe geben, we should get there, im Yirtzeh Hashem, Gesundheit und Freilichkeit, on this Yom Kippur. And while we're there, we shouldn't forget, as the Rebbe says all the time, that once we make that unity, we should say at the end of Yom Kippur, and you see that what is the zenith of the prayers of the tefillas of Yom Kippur. We start with the month of Elul, and we say three kapitlen every day, and we sound the shofar, month of Elul, and then you have Rosh Hashanah, and then you have Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur is a whole Aveda of Kol Nidrei, and Yom Kippur in the morning to Shachris, and to Musaf, and to Mincha, and then you daven Neile, and you open up the Oren Kodesh, and the Oren Kodesh is open all of Neile, and then you sound the shofar, as you know the whole. What is the very, very last few words of the so-called services of the tefillah of Yom Kippur is L'shono haba b'Yerushalayim. That's what the Jew wants. That's what the Jew, after everything, he wants one thing. The Bein Shalom, we made a connection. Now what? And now the Bein Shalom, we want to be in Yerushalayim together with you. And as mentioned on this program, it's a wonderful deal. Oshnas Geulai. Geulai means my redemption, says Almighty God, which we said it in last week's Haftarah. Oshnas Geulai Bo. The year of my redemption is coming, said Almighty God, together with the redemption of the Jewish people. It should be immediately Gesundheit und Freilichkeit. Uba'agolo didan, uvesimcha, uvtuv levov, uveteva nile ve'anigla, ulamata me'asarot fochim, uvechesed, uverachamim, v'teikef, umiyad, mamish.